This is some suicidal thoughts, OCD kind of intrusive. Okay, again, this is some questions about my journey. I'll try to get through these if I can. If not, it's all right. Okay, sorry, my question is heavy. You said your OCD almost killed you. Yes, there was at least one night where you were on the verge of suicide. So when I say it almost killed me, there is, yes, there were many moments of I didn't want to live, but there's killing the life of functioning. So there's that sense of I don't want to live anymore, and then there's the sense of metaphorically, like killing the life of my relationships, my effectiveness, my peace, my state of mind. So it's multifaceted in that expression. There was one night where you're on the verge of suicide. I would say what I am very, very aware of is those thoughts of not wanting to live. Like, I can't do this. And I'm like, but in my OCD trail of thought went into even spinning for even having that thought. What did you experience with self-harm and suicidal struggles through your journey? I know I'm asking you to be incredibly vulnerable, but as someone who has experienced quite a pull in that direction within the last year, I really want to know what it was like for you. I teared up just saying that. I think there's, whether someone is OCD or not, if they have thoughts of like, I don't want to live anymore, I want to die. First of all, if you have those things, get help, right? Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. I always feel like I have to give a disclaimer when it comes to these kind of subjects, right? Maybe I'm working out my own, obsessiveness about trying to be just right about it. But because I understand the struggles that people go through. But whether you're OCD or not, the protocols of OCD are really helpful for this area because it's about being compassionate. The journey of getting free in OCD has helped me to see the compassion of God, and what you need when you're struggling is you need a extra dose of compassion, and you need to access that in how you see yourself. Because when we get to those points where somebody's really at that place, they are at a high level of self versus self. They're consumed in self, in a world of self-destruction of how they relate to stress, how they relate to things in their life. And it needs the issue is self versus self, because isn't that what suicide brings about, is a self-elimination. So self-compassion is so needed. And that cry is bringing that out at an epic level. On another aspect of this, many OCDers in their struggle. So I'm OCDing, I'm spinning, and I have that thought, I don't want to live. Now I'm looking at that thought and I'm interrogating it, right? And then we spin out, oh my goodness, I had this thought. That means I might be suicidal, right? So we're spinning now about the thought. What did I just do? You just look at my body language, right? I'm spinning here over something, right? And then this thought comes along. And now what am I doing? I'm distracted from getting more to what my heart is going through. And I'm spinning out over, oh, I had this thought. It's a crazy thought. This must mean I'm crazy, right? What I need to do is, when the thought crosses, to be compassionate towards myself in that thought. Because even if wherever that thought came from, whatever it means, compassion leads you in a healing direction. Oh, I'm having these intrusive thoughts and being really hard on myself. Man, I'm having a hard time managing my peace. Or it's like at an intense level, the issue is self-compassion, that I must turn to myself. Now, in these deep, dark places, we trade self-compassion for self-pity. When we're in these painful places, and that's what I did in those moments. And the story that I'll open up with my book in OCD, I was riddled with self-pity. And I see it with a lot of people who write in comment section, people who write to me. It's challenging to help someone with self-pity because they have to see it and they have to stop feeding it. It's unproductive grieving. It's just self-pity is like an obsessive compulsive spiral in itself. It's just self-loathing, self-hatred, despair mixed in. And we just spin out and spin out and spin out and spiral. And it's an ultimate self-consumed. You're lost in yourself. And love helps you to see yourself and get out of yourself to realize my life's important. I'm lost in myself in a hating way. It's self-consuming. I need to get out of this, and I need to see my life matters. Love is going to turn that on. But I cannot put that weight on other people to be that for me, because that can lead to a recipe of disappointment and neediness. It's really looking in the mirror and having a restorative conversation. So now it didn't happen that night for me. And I was more just afraid that I even had the thought, right? Or even afraid that I even get to those kind of places. So then I would kind of just sit stuck in a self-pity. And it could happen for days. I'd wear it. You'd see it, Well, I don't know if you'd see it. You'd see it if you were a close friend of mine, And so this, especially because the person writing this, you have obsessive compulsive struggles. So if that's coming your way, you have to practice compassion over the thought happening. Okay, there it is. I had that thought. There it is. All right. Keep on going by. Keep on going by. Because then what we do is we hyperventilate over it, or we examine it, or we're interrogating it, or we're trying to introspect it. Why did I get this thought? What's happening? What's going on? And what we need in that moment, no matter what, is compassion. Right? I've experienced intense waves of pain that make you feel like you're drowning, losing control, and about to do something you regret. So what I would venture to say, I'm not trying to like diagnose you or be your therapist in this, but you're probably going through an OCD spin out. You drown in it. You can't take it anymore. And it's like, oh, I don't want to live. Oh my gosh. Right. And then you're fearful, because that's where the thought pattern eventually goes. OCD is always looking for the DEFCON things. It doesn't play around. It's always looking for DEFCON levels. And so if it comes to, sexual thoughts, you're a sexual deviant, if it comes to religious stuff, unpardonable sin, hell, eternal destruction, never saved, right? Or some kind of delusional denial you never knew of, and you'll stand before God. Right. It always goes high stakes. And then we communicate it that way. So it's such a cry for self-compassion and a cry for true nurture to work through our problems productively. And so with OCD, it's always the problem is not the problem. That's not the problem. Now, that thought echoing, yeah, okay, I get you. We don't want to keep feeding that. Yep, understand concerns. People having, thoughts like that, certainly. But the redirection back to self-compassion is everything. So, about doing something I know you regret. I've come close to cutting several times. So that's your cry for nurture. Okay, that speaks into exactly what I'm saying. You have a cry for nurture, especially in how you see yourself. And there's aspects of nurture missing from upbringing, stuff like that. There's some missing, equipping in that and what that looks like. This really comes down to you and how you relate to yourself. And today's a new day to start with compassion. Mercy is new every morning. This is a day for you to stand up, be able to walk with newness, walk with new direction, and start becoming a compassionate witness to yourself rather than an enemy. You said more commonly, however, it's a constant low-grade sense of what's the point. That, to me, sounds like depression. So for all my OCD brothers and sisters, there's often... hey, my wife's in the chat. Hi, honey. My love. Didn't see you there. I don't know if you just popped in. But anyway, I mentioned this, and this is important to know. You got the OCD flares going, the obsessions, the compulsions, the spinnies, right? All that stuff. Am I saved? I'm really not saved. Did I do this? I'm not. All that, right? When you start starving the compulsions and stop feeding what the obsessions are saying, and you move in a new direction, and you start walking it, Many express this lack of motivation. This, what's the point? I've had that many, many times. It reveals two things. One, part of it is the exhaustion of living an OCD life. It is absolutely exhausting, and it will burn you out, wear you out, and leave you in a depressed state. Two, there's a aspect of depression that feeds OCD, meaning that when your mood is in a lower state overall, you become more vulnerable to reacting to intrusive thoughts in disempowering ways. So, anyways, that's what's up. So I hope that is a help to your journey.